Rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have roll call, please?
Baker,
Here.
Betcher,
Here.
McNally,
Here.
Biker,
I'm sorry. Here.
Townsend,
Oh, I'm here.
Hoffman,
Here.
Bamberg,
Here.
Govine,
Here.
Turnbull, and Thayer.
Yes.
Okay. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passed. Special orders, there are none. Request to be on the agenda.
Mr. Baker, you forgot the approval of the minutes.
Oh, approval of the minutes on May 4th. Thank you.
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes for May 14th as presented.
Support.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes on May 14th. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Now we go to special orders, which there are none. And request to be on the agenda. Heather, you had something you'd like to discuss with us?
Yes, please. Hi, I'm Heather Wilson, President of the Bridgeport Days Festival Committee. As you know, this past weekend was Bridgeport Days, or Bridgefest, and it was our 4th year. It was a huge year, and I hope that many of you were able to stop by and see everything we had for the community. We did receive a check from you, original donation, and we appreciate it very, very much. What that goes for is our fireworks. We have 2 nights of fireworks. Did any of you, by show of hands, maybe get by to see the fireworks at all this weekend? Okay. Night Flight Fireworks, Mark Schramke handles those for us. It's an $11,000 show for Friday and Saturday. He discounts it down to $6,000 for us. We were really, really hoping on a $4,000 donation from the DDA. That's what we had last year. So I was kind of premature in thinking that we were going to get that again. And had already made the promise and the commitment and put it into writing and marketed 2 nights. As the $2,500 donation was fantastic, and again, we really appreciate it. I was kind of hoping to come back and say we really need that extra $1,500 before Mark sends Cousin Guido after me. So that would be my request for you.
What's your source of profit for the whole event?
It's the Midway. That's our biggest profit maker. And actually, this year, the Midway did spectacular, but it's still not enough to cover the fireworks and everything else we do on top of it.
And how do you see the whole event as benefiting the community?
I'm glad you're asking that question. I was at the yacht club last night and was talking to Jill, and I asked her, how does Bridgefest affect the yacht club as a business? She said that over the course of the weekend, she grosses 25% more than she does in general. So her business does see growth. I talked to Eva from Big Boy over the weekend, and she's a huge supporter of Bridgefest, and yes, her business grows substantially. And Tony Deanna is definitely a huge supporter and also sees substantial growth in his business.
We were talking about this whole program yesterday at a little subcommittee we had for something else, and we had shared that the program that you guys and the hard work that you're putting in is just amazing to the community, and it's a lot of times a fellowship opportunity as well, which I think encourages just warm and fuzziness in our community, which we love. And as a kid growing up here, it felt like the community was behind it a lot, and it feels that you're starting to get that support, which is really exciting. one of the things that I mentioned is I feel that sometimes we don't solicit the businesses themselves, because it was, Bridgeport Days a long time ago where there was a corporate sponsor, if you will. And you've shared these businesses that have been successful because of the program, and we understand as the DDA that, that's part of our job is to help you and the community bring that in. But sometimes it feels like the businesses might not want to share this responsibility quite as much as we think they should. And so we were trying to plot and come up with some plans on ways that we could help educate the businesses on the responsibility and how it could benefit everybody involved. And sometimes it feels like maybe they should help with that a little bit more than we should.
And there's some that feel like they're picked on all of the time because they do donate
and
more so than
And I
others.
so agree, because it's so easy to go to the ones that are gonna say yes
Right.
and not have the no
Exactly.
in your face. So
Yep.
one of the things that I suggested is, there's some tax help that we give through Saginaw Future, that Saginaw Future gives, and it's associated with Bridgeport, and we're able to save a lot of money in taxes for some businesses. And I think it's our responsibility to educate those businesses that we help save tax dollars, that they need to turn around and they need to help us with that. So we have a list of people that, at least I have a mental list of people that I'd like to share with you. And if the group is willing, we could tag team them and go together and chat with them and just encourage them to support. It just feels like this time around it was last minute, and it's harder to come back at the end and say, here you go, where we
Right.
felt we made the best decision at the time when we were asked. So I don't know how this board feels right now, but I know personally for next year, I think we work on our budget in November, and we really would love to, be able to think of you guys at the budget time. And then I guess I would also be happy to work with you and tag team some of these other people that might say no, but maybe we could sweet talk into a yes. Because it's all
That would
about
be much
teamwork, right?
appreciated, thank you.
Yeah, so that's my comment, but.
What you mean from your statement, Karen, is I believe is work with Saginaw Future businesses for next year.
See, our situation, Heather, is that the DDA is charged with infrastructure or brick and mortar projects we have a fiduciary responsibility to spend the money on developing the community in a way that best benefits the overall picture. Our project is a soft project. In fact, we literally blow it up. So, yeah, pun intended. And certainly there are times that the soft projects can benefit more than a brick and mortar project, but once you expend the money for fireworks, it's gone. We do projects in the community, and they stay for 20, 30, 40 years. So we need perhaps a little more time ahead of the project to see how these things fit into our budget and to look at, see what benefits we can derive from this particular project.
Okay. Did you guys check out the website for the Michigan fireworks display? Pulling from around the state, and we did get a 4.5 out of 5 on our fireworks display, and we're already
That's good.
on the agenda for next year on the website. It says 5-year anniversary, and it has the 4.5 out of 5 stars. Mark Schramke does want to expand this. So for the 2 of you that did come to the fireworks, they were huge, right?
Very good.
He's gonna make them bigger. Those were only 4-inch shells. He wants to do 8-inch shells next year. There was people parked all over Kroger. They're, talking amongst themselves, coming from Bay City. I had friends from Bay City. We're gonna get a Frosty and we're just gonna sit here and we're gonna watch the fireworks go on. They're coming to Bridgeport. We're pulling from outside of our own community, bringing people here to the businesses and to our community. I really need help.
I like what I seen from the fireworks. I seen the businesses. I came 3 hours before the fireworks, seen the McDonald's, the Burger King, Taco Bell, Kroger's, gas stations, what kind of business that was walking in and out of these facilities at this time. I'm very happy with what I see, what brought from the fireworks and also the Bridge Fest. I'm gonna make a motion that we go ahead and give you another $1,500 for the fireworks. Support.
Motion's been made and seconded for an additional $1,500 for fireworks for this year.
Mhm.
Is there any discussion on this? Further discussion?
I would like to make one comment. Heather, last year I sat in on the meetings and I tried to find out what we could do to help, and for some reason I kept falling off your email list. Now, I had somebody forward them to me. When they found out she was doing that, she fell off your email list. I don't think you guys worked with us.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's Bill Cannon as our secretary, and I think that sometimes computers challenge him. So maybe we should have someone else run our email chain. So that's not personal
I was a
by
little
any.
bit upset because I tried to find out what we could do to help you.
Apologize, this is the first time I've heard about it.
Did you mention
Absolutely.
You didn't mention it to me.
I mentioned it at meetings. You were probably absent at one of those.
Okay, I'll make sure, I'll talk to Bill, and then maybe we'll get that handed over to Steph or Chris to send out the emails. I apologize.
If we don't come across with this $1,500, what's your plan? Other than
Probably have to beg for forgiveness with Mark and then work something out with him. Because I haven't even written him a check yet.
You don't have any other plans to raise the money?
United Financial's gonna come through with 1,000 of the 6. And then we were hoping for the 4 from you.
I think that
That's
one of
fine.
the biggest problems was that we didn't get this till, 3 weeks before the Bridge Fest. I don't know, did we get any recognition?
Yes, you did. Yep, you were on, actually, we put you on our free fishing tournament. We had 45 people. Did anybody come to the free fishing tournament? Yes. We had 45 entrants, and there was ruler where they had to measure their fish, and it was sponsored by the DDA and United Financial Credit Union. You're also on the webpage as a thank you. You have a letter coming. This was our discussion just a few minutes ago as our recap of festival. And there was mention made in the tent and in our advertising.
Because it was mentioned last meeting that we were too late for any recognition, as I recall. In the
I can-
brochure, any brochures.
What they did, they changed their whole way of their donations, which I think I gave you guys a sheet of that or whatever. It had like the main sponsor, I don't have it in front of me. That recognition would have been came next year, it was my understanding, with sponsored by DDA or whatever, if you, but this year, nobody actually got any of that recognition until next year, am I correct on that?
Right, and Pat would like to say a couple words.
Yes.
So Karen, to a couple of your points, I've taken over as treasurer this year, kind of late in the game. Kind of an interesting dynamic, getting a lot of things in order, some reporting in order, P&L statements on the different events that we have to understand where our money's truly coming from and what the cost benefit is. To Karen's point, we have this wonderful young marketing person, Christina Licht, who is just phenomenal. And for whatever reason, as Roberta pointed out, at some point there was a disconnect between some people that wanted to help and they kind of went away. And that happened with Chris a little bit. I wasn't part, I don't know exactly what happened, but there was. She's back in full force, she's high energy. We've started today on next year's marketing. I've come to Heather and suggested, A, making sure that we have the donors in mind, getting out early and getting all the businesses involved, as well, getting to the school board well ahead of time. We need to be at the school board in August and September, not in February, March, April, or May. Same thing with this group. I'd like to see the DDA continue to participate at some level, make sure there's proper recognition from that, whether it be on the banner, whatever it be. But we've started that process already, so that we're going to get to the businesses before the end of the year, get those commitments, and also Chris is being cut loose to take care of the marketing side. Part of the things that happens when we get in a group like this, some of you may know, is that the dynamic kind of takes over and suddenly everybody becomes an expert at what you're an expert at. Chris is an expert in marketing, it's what she does for a living. She needs to be left alone to take care of the marketing, and she wasn't left alone. Now she's being given free rein to take care of those things. So I would anticipate that we're going to see a much greater emphasis placed on getting all of the businesses involved.
Thank you, sir.
You know, I'm assuming seems like you're saying you needed that money, we didn't do good.
Huh?
I'm assuming seems like you're needing that money, we didn't do good, we didn't make a profit this year, yeah.
No, actually, actually, TJ Schmidt, last year we got a check from TJ Schmidt for 10,000. This year we got 14,000. But our expense was higher in the entertainment tent where we had more bands. We were trying to put bands in earlier, and the entertainment tent didn't do so well. So whereas you make some here, you lose some here, and it just kind of washes right out. Actually, our Saturday on the Midway did $3,000 more than the whole first year combined. That's how huge Saturday was.
But overall, you lost.
That numbers haven't come through yet.
Oh, okay.
Pat hasn't gotten everything done yet. The Midway did well. The entertainment tent, we're assuming will probably break even. And then we just need to see where everything else falls with the vendors.
Do we have a question on the motion, please?
We have a motion on the floor on the call to question.
Discussion.
You have more comments?
Call for question.
I just wanted to comment that I still don't necessarily believe that this is what the DDA's calling is. I mean, we donated $2,500 to it. And personally, I'd be willing to give, and I think that letters should go out to businesses. I mean, we could do a lot of other things. So just because I may vote against this motion, it's not because I'm anti-fireworks or anti-Bridge Fest or anything. I just don't know that it's necessarily what we should be doing as a DDA. That's my only comment.
If I can just have a little discussion. In our TIF plan and our long-term goals and objectives, it says here, develop communication tools that will promote the activities of the DDA and the economic development of the DDA district. Develop promotional marketing tools to assist the DDA with their goals. Develop cooperative relationships with the Bridgeport Chamber of Commerce and other entities to contribute to the success of the DDA district. Use partnership opportunities where possible to combine resources in order to meet the goals of the DDA. Host and support community events sponsored in Bridgeport that further economic development and coincide with the goals of the DDA.
We have supported it.
With the 2,500, I
Right,
guess.
right.
But you just made a comment that you don't think that the DDA is, that's the way we should go and give money towards these events.
I voted for that, the 2,500 last time.
Right.
So that doesn't, just because I didn't vote for the full 4,000,
Right.
or don't agree with the full 4,000, doesn't mean a certain level of support isn't
Sure.
appropriate.
I just thought I heard you say that you didn't.
Well, I said I don't necessarily agree with that.
Correct, okay, so that's why I then went over to that. So.
Well, I mean,
That's
that's our TIF plan. That doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything to every extent in the TIF plan, do you?
Mr. Chairman, I think I called for question on the motion.
Let's call the motion. Let's do a roll call.
Yeah.
Baker?
No.
Okay. I'll see. Laker?
Yes.
Beaver?
Yes.
Thayer?
Yes.
Govine?
Yes.
McNally?
No.
Batcher?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Turnbull? Absent. And Townsend?
Yes.
And Baker?
No.
Okay, motion carries. 7 yeses, 2 noes, and 1 absent.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you to all of you. I appreciate it.
Even me?
Even you and even Baker. I appreciate it, and I hope that next year you will please stop by. And yes, we will give you proper recognition, and we will get to you a lot sooner.
Give us 3 or 4 months.
Yes, sir.
No, she's already on the November.
I'm already on the November, yeah.
I already put her there.
Yeah, so thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks. And
And whoever doesn't know me,
Thank-
Okay, that concludes the request to be on the agenda. Public comments? Public comments twice? Public comments 3 times? That closes public comments. Under new business, Steve, you have a comment you'd like to make here?
Yeah, I put on their donation request. If you look at the back page, when somebody is asking for a donation or a request, 2 things I'm gonna ask of them from now on is to get it to me 7 days before the agenda. And then I also want them present, just like Heather was. I know we've had some requests that we got the letter, and I presented the letter on the individual organization or whatever it was, without anybody from that organization here. So, and then when you guys ask questions, I can't answer those questions. So in the future, if somebody is asking for any type of donation, I'll get it in writing from them, and they also must be present and go in front of the board before we give them any money.
And if it's in writing, will it be before, so it'll be in our packet?
Yes.
So that we can,
Yes.
because a lot of times we get.
Yeah.
So that you're gonna set as a statement of policy, if the request has to come 7 days prior to the meeting.
Correct, and then I'll have Jamie make a copy of that, and then that will be attached to our agendas too.
Yeah, the statement of policy that appears in the back of the agenda. Okay, that concludes new business. Let's go to old business and start with the Canoe Launch.
Just an update on the Canoe Launch. Tanya has resubmitted the 2 grants for the Canoe Launch. She had originally submitted them and there was too much language. We had to kind of shorten it up a little bit. So she has taken care of that, and we'll know roughly in December or not whether we've got the grants for the Canoe Launch. I'd also like to thank Bill. He's in the audience today, our Parks and Rec Director. Bill Wheeler was at a meeting working with the Saginaw Bay Water Shield Initiative Network, also known as WIN. He wrote a grant for the Canoe Launch, presented it to WIN for the canoe and kayak launches, and he was approved $20,000. So they hang on to that money until the grants come back and until it's all approved for us. And I believe Bill has to get approximately $80,000 in additional grant money because we got to meet that certain percentage. What was it, 30 or was it 20?
I think you're at 30%.
30%?
Yeah.
So roughly of the cost of it was going to be about $80,000 that we would have to get in grant money or in additional funds. He's already received $20,000. Great job, Bill.
Any more in the Canoe Launch? Let's go on to snow removal.
No update on that. I've just been busy and haven't, we've talked to Frank and Birch Run about their stuff, and I've gotten a few prices, but I will be getting back with more information on that before winter.
You have more communities to contact, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The DDA Beautification Flower Project.
I just wanted to bring up that the day that the flowers were delivered, I was out with Ailey's for it took us about 4 hours, 3 of us working on them. I think the flowers look very, very nice in our town. I think it adds a lot to it. There were some areas, in fact, Augie had brought that up to me, there were some areas that it looked like there were too many grouped in certain areas, and it was our first year, and basically, Abley's is the one that took the bear cap down the state, and they were the ones that recommended to us. I think for next year, we can kind of look at it. Augie and I did go out, I believe it was last week, And we walked from Rite Aid all the way to Taco Bell, came back up. We went approximately 15 feet between each pot, set the rest off to the side. We came up with, I believe it was 21 pots. We then went back in the truck, loaded them all up, and went down towards the expressway. I'm sure a lot of you see them now in front of Taco Bell, in front of the truck stop. And then again, Augie moved 5 more, I believe it was on Monday. And he took the ones in front of Dollar General because of all the construction there and dispersed them out throughout the town too. So next year, if we do this program, which I think we should, I'm not sure if maybe we need so many, or we cluster more and continue to move down. And then yesterday, Augie and I talked about going out and maybe moving a few more, either down this way or back down that way there too. But how does everybody like them?
Once you cross Baker Street, it gets pretty sparse because you don't have any further north. If you had something to divide up and put a few going further north, that would be better.
I think the reason we went further this way was getting off the expressway right there. You got the nice looking rock. You pull off the expressway, you're coming into town this way. If we have some that are gonna go extra, we could look at that, but for next year, definitely, I think we could maybe spread them out even a little bit further and go a little further north.
According to my wife, yeah, we could pick up a few more.
Is this going on Facebook?
Yeah, this is. We could pick up a few more, and I discussed it with Rose too. There was some comments on Facebook, like Jim was talking about, Bridgeport doesn't end at State Street, and how, they don't understand that this was the first time around and what we were trying to do and stuff, but maybe we could go up and take a look while they're still not 3 feet tall, and take a look at dispersing some more and taking them down that way, taking a few out of here. But it's a learning process, I guess. They're getting bigger. When I first picked them up the first time we went out, when I've gone over, they were just about here, and now I went and picked them up the other day, and they were having nose stuck in flowers.
All the
Anyway,
comments I've got is they're beautiful, but there's too many. So if you
Yeah.
spread them out, I think that'd be great.
Daryl and I attended the chamber meeting this morning, and lots of nice compliments at the chamber meeting. In fact, Paul Moore, the DDA director, had specifically come down and looked at it and said the town looks very, very nice, and there were other several comments too about them.
Okay,
we need to find some younger volunteers, though.
And he gave me a workout when I was at it.
can we assign 2 older guys?
Yeah, hey, put that one over there, put that one.
Okay, that concludes the beautification discussion. Let's get an update on the rock from Augie, Karen, and Steve.
Mr. Baker, we have not met since our last meeting. I tried to get that, but I ran out of time. Did have a meeting and gathered some information both from Rose and from Louise Davis. So I think our next meeting with our subcommittee would be, where do we want to go? Are we going to merge with the beautification or come underneath that umbrella and something like that? Basically what we've talked about in the past.
We haven't gotten the insurance issue resolved yet, though, have we?
No, we have not.
Okay.
I did get a hold of Paul Moore from, and I think I told you this, their insurance on their rock, stone, whatever you call it, falls under their general liability insurance. They didn't go out and buy any special insurance. It falls right under the general liability.
Okay. Any more on the rock? Great Lakes Discovery Center. Steve, you got an update on that?
Yeah, I told you that Jason would be in town. He's from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. He was in town on the 19th, 20th, May 19th, 20th, and 21st. I had indicated to the board at the last meeting that the $5,600 which you approved for the survey to be done at the Sheridan Road, he told me to hold off on that, that if they could do that and fit that in that time frame, they would survey it for us free. Well, guess what? The time ran out, but also there was a lot of water. They did come up from Monroe and go over and take a look at it, but they couldn't have got out there anyway. So we are going to have to spend that $5,600. Tanya has that on the schedule, and I believe it looks like, when I talk to you, a week to 10 days, they will be out surveying that now that things are drying up. That is our last survey that we have to do. I have also received and signed from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the exchange agreement is done. So as soon as they get the survey, we will close the deal. And then once that's closed, it's probably going to be closed for a long, long time until the next somebody else follows through on the Great Lakes Discovery Center. But the land exchange is just waiting for that. We'll probably have some closing costs because when you go to a title company, there are closing costs. What those are, I really don't know. Generally, they're not that much, but that's all we have to do right now, and we should have the land exchange done. The agreement has been signed.
Tanya, do you think we can get that survey done before the next meeting? Maybe get this closed?
Yeah, we should probably have done by the next meeting. Hopefully we won't get any more big rainfalls and the site will, it's dry right now. So we've got it on our schedule for next week. And hopefully we can get out there next week without weather issues.
Now, just so that you know, Jim, that when the survey is done, that and everything's approved, then he will set up the closing, but he told me that could be anywhere from 30 to 120 days. It goes on their docket, and then they just keep taking them down from there. So just because we get the survey and everything, I don't expect it to close in 30 days. I do expect it to close though in the next, by the end
As
of
long
the
as we
year.
can get it on their docket.
Right. Well, we're already on the docket because we've signed the agreement. It's just the survey now. I don't have anything further on that.
Okay, anyone else have anything further on the Great Lakes Discovery Center? Let's move on to 4422 Williamson.
That is the DNS building, which we now own. I had went down there about a few weeks back, maybe about 2 weeks ago. I've been walking down there about every week, walking throughout the community. I went down there when the landscaping company, which we hired, Reliable Landscaping, was there. They brought to my attention that there was a tree laying on the neighbor's roof, which would have been that Dawn Bankert's house. So I looked at that, and it was about an 18-inch, it wasn't a great big, about 18-inch, and then there were two other smaller ones, maybe 6 to 10 inches, that were laying on her roof, and then a great big branch laying in front of the house. I called Rose. I had a discussion with Rose, and then she recommended that I talk to the homeowner. So I went to the homeowner, which I had had some dealings with. Very nice lady. She came out, and I told her that we are cleaning up the property there, which is now ours, and we will be removing the tree. And she said, well, I didn't know if it was on my property or your property. I said, well, what do you mean? She said, that's been laying on my house for 9 months. I said, what? She said, it's been laying on my house for 9 months, that her and Bill, the previous owner, could not come up with who owned the tree, whose property it was on. It was clearly on our property. Okay, there's no doubt in my mind it was on our property. So I talked to the landscapers from Reliable. They were able to cut it down for us. I had it removed the next day, and it cost us $250, and I just okayed that. And we had the tree removed the next day. And I did talk to her, and she said, hey, there's no damage to my house. It's got a little dent there, no damage to my house or nothing. And she was very content and very thankful, because she said that she was even getting, she said, I'll clean my yard up, but I need some additional help financially, and we took care of that for her. And it was our problem. And she was very thankful. I didn't want any liabilities on our to cause further damage to her roof. That's it.
Further discussion on the Williamson property?
I have a quick question. Did you subcommittee topics and talking points on that property yet?
Pardon?
I was thinking you guys were getting together on a little subcommittee, was it you and Tanya maybe, to kind of talk about options for that property?
We were. We actually had a meeting scheduled last Tuesday. And with myself, Rose, and Augie, we were going to visit that property, going up to the Great Lakes, going out to the Sheridan Road property. The week before, I had been experiencing some chest pains for about 4 days. And on Monday, I got extremely scared, and I called my cardiologist, and I ended up in the hospital. And thank God everything has come out okay. So we canceled that meeting. We will probably reschedule that for next week.
Glad you're okay.
The heart's still there. But thanks for asking, Karen.
Okay, that concludes the Williamson discussion. MDOT I-75.
Just an update, Rose and I did go to, since our last meeting, we did go to the MDOT meeting. There were several people there. I bet you there were over 30, 35 people there. A lot of it was Greek, I think, to both Rose and I. I mean, contractors and MDOT and the lady that's in charge of trees and all this stuff of what they have to do. So we attended maybe a little over 2 hours, and then they said you don't have to stay, you can if you want to. The project is still a go. It's going to start in 2015 and roughly about February, and it will go all the way through 2016, and it's, like I said, it's a $50 million project. The lady that was sitting across from me, I said, I think I know you from somewhere. And she said, you did my wedding reception 3 years ago. She is the lady that will be doing all of the landscaping, trees, and talking to us of what we kind of want in there and what we can have and what we cannot have. And Rose and I had a little, she left at the same time we did, so I'm hoping that.
Really smashing.
Yeah, so that's just an update on that property. And they'll start at Dixie Highway and work down through Hess Street.
Any other questions on the I-75 corridor update? That concludes our old business. We do have a closed session we need to go into. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for closed session on, we have to do a roll call?
Yeah.
Yeah, roll call, please.
Mayor,
Yes.
Bamber,
Yes.
Bovine,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Batcher,
Yes.
McNeely,
Yes.
Turnbull, absent. Baker,
Yes.
Townsend,
Yes.
and Baker.
Yes. Out of closed session.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to come out of closed session, and we have roll call vote, please.
Yes. Bayer,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Here. Yes.
Turnbull, absent. Bamber,
Yes.
Bovine,
Yep.
Batcher,
Yes.
McNally,
Yes.
Baker, yes,
Townsend? Yes.
and Baker.
Yes.
All right.
And we have a motion to have Steve carry out the decision made in closed session?
I'd like to make a motion to Steve carry out the direction from closed session.
Second.
We need a roll call vote on that.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. And the DDA coordinators report
It's
is
basically what we just went
what
over.
we
but
discussed.
I'd like to thank Tammy for coming up and doing the minutes today while Jamie's on vacation. Thank you, Rose, for allowing Tammy to come up.
Member comments?
I don't have any comments. Thank you, sir.
Augie?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I had a conversation with Steve on a couple of other people. We've got a Dollar General store going in, and we don't have a hardware in Bridgeport, which I've been hoping we could work something out. But at any rate, to have some conversation with the manager from Dollar General, and I don't know how much hardware product is in their lineup, but possibly persuade them that that may be a good merchandise to have in their store. Anybody got any ideas?
That's a good thought. Zero?
No comment.
I'm all set.
Nothing.
No comment.
No comment.
Barry? Okay, the next meeting is July 9th at noon in this location.
Motion to adjourn.
Or,
Motion to adjourn, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.